video by my good friend Sabby Sabs, part of the Revolutionary Blackout Network. Woo! Whatever. And it was something about Trump attack on free speech. What caught my attention was, number one, a video from her going after Donald Trump. Previously, she likes to say, other people that make a lot of videos about Trump, which, I mean, some people take it a little bit too far, but regardless, all you do is videos about Trump, right? And here she is making a video about Trump. Now, let's have some integrity. I'm not implying that she's making a bunch of videos about Trump. I'm just saying that it is so rare that that's what caught my eye. She's calling out Trump for free speech. I've definitely heard her make videos about free speech, but not in relation to Donald Trump. Now, this is a person who, when people were talking about Project 2025, she was sounding like a right-winger, downplaying it. Oh, this is stuff we've seen before. I did a video about this. This is stuff we've seen before. We've seen this before. This is the same stuff that they've done before. And the liberals are all, downplayed, right? It's hysterical liberals. You know the narrative, right? So now that Trump is in office and he is, Project 2025 is in full effect, right? So I see a couple of videos from her that seem a little bit kind of like, I won't say 180, but a little bit of a different perspective. Before Trump got elected, it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. So now she's talking about Donald Trump and free speech. And of course, the perspective seems to be from a perspective of the whole Gaza situation. So the Palestinian protesters, them protesting at universities and getting cracked down on, right? And this is why I make this video, because this is a prime example of the problem with independent media. I'm talking about left-wing independent, but just independent media in general. And this is, so one of the reasons why some of you guys think that these independent media folks are so good and you like them is because they have the position that you like about the things that are of interest to you, right? So if you are a left-winger and you have the position of, genocide in Gaza, blah, 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 and you're standing with the protesters, whatever, right? You're probably going to like somebody like Sabby Sabs. She'll make a video and she'll, pro-Palestinian, whatever, and these guys with their Zionists, they're Zionists, whatever, right? So if that's an issue that matters to you, right, you'll watch the mainstream media and you see them doing really bad coverage, legit. I mean, I'm not saying that's your opinion. I would agree with that, right? And then you turn on Sabby Sabs and she's like, yeah, Palestinians, whatever, Zionists, whatever. And you look at her in contrast to the mainstream media, that showing you stuff that the mainstream media is not talking about. She's digging up articles or whatever, and it's like, oh, I didn't even know that. Wow, here's the real body count. And you're like, this is real journalism, right? But what you're missing is all the stuff that she's not talking about, right? So have been a threat to free speech and freedoms in general for quite some time, right? But you're not going to get that message from her until Trump wins and he's going after free speech from the perspective of that part of her beat that she covers, which is the pro-Palestinian perspective. So now all of a sudden, oh my goodness, and she says literally, oh, she's raising the alarms. She's raising the alarms. Where was she raising the alarms when we see all these other violations of free speech come from Elon Musk and Donald Trump and his allies and the right-wing media, right? Now, if Joe Biden did stuff like that, of course you're going to hear about it. If the Democrats did something like that, of course you'll hear about it, right? I don't even have to watch the content to know. I guarantee you she did a video talking about how they anointed Kamala Harris and they protected democracy. But then instead of doing the democracy thing, they just anoint someone and at least the Republican, like, I don't have to watch her content to know that I know she did a video like that, or at least she mentioned that perspective in her video, right? Because she is in this bubble just like pretty much all of the independent media folks are, right? Where they have the particular issues, where they have that perspective on it, and it's like confirmation bias, right? My whole thing is anti-liberal stuff. Oh, the liberals, oh, the Democrats. So anytime something negative coming from that camp, I'm all over it. When it's coming from other camps, that's not part of my rhetoric. I didn't see it, or I downplay it, or it's not a big deal, or I don't even talk about it at all, right? And this is a huge problem because you're getting information from a certain perspective, right? You're getting only part of reality. And the same reason that it's bad when mainstream media does it, right? Mainstream media will give you all the pro-Israel. I don't know. Hopefully it's a reception. I was just going over the mountain there. So I was saying, people who only get media from mainstream media, they only know the pro-Israel perspective. But then if you're watching it from, somebody like Sabi Sabs, you only know the pro-Palestinian perspective, right? So if the pro-Palestinian perspective has issues, you're going to be blind to that if you're only watching Sabi Sabs. And this is why I always talk about a key issue with the rhetoric you get from independent media folks is that they always attack mainstream media, right? But they're not trying to do a better job than mainstream media, right? They're not trying to cover the full reality. They're only focusing on particular issues, right? So they're doing the same thing mainstream media is doing from a different perspective. Mainstream media doesn't cover this, so I'm going to cover it. But then mainstream media is covering this thing, and I'm not covering that. But the problem is, when you bash mainstream media all the time, so people are only watching you because, like you say, mainstream media is garbage, right? So when I listen to these people who are garbage and nothing but liars, I'm going to depend on you, right? So if you're setting yourself up as you're the only one, I don't mean literally just them, but I mean independent media is the only place to get your news, right? Then you're going to be limited to these perspectives that you get from independent media. So all the stuff that independent media doesn't cover, right, you're going to be ignorant of it. So you're choosing one level of ignorance versus another level of ignorance. I'm going to watch mainstream media and I'm going to be ignorant to stuff that mainstream media doesn't cover, or I'm going to watch Sabi Sabs and be ignorant of the stuff that she doesn't cover, right? But my thing is, I want people to be more informed, right? I want people to be more informed. So rather than you picking independent media over mainstream media or mainstream media over independent media, I say up your game in terms of learning media literacy. So you can see through the bias of people like Sabi Sabs, and you can see through the bias of people like CNN, not people, but stations like CNN and MSNBC. So you can watch Sabi Sabs and get the good stuff that she does do, right? And reject the garbage that she also does. And you can watch, well, I wouldn't really want to watch CNN. Watch something more like an ABC, right? And reject the garbage that they give, but take on the good stuff that they give, so you can be maximum informed, right? Maximum informed is a combination of watching mainstream media, the better ones ideally, as well as the good or the best of independent media. That's the way to be the best informed, right? It's not an either or, because there's no way that independent media can compete with mainstream media. They don't have the resources, right? They cannot compete. Any independent media, I don't care, they got, I'm a person of integrity. So if I wanted to do news media as a business, if I took this professional, I'm gonna do this as a business, I'm gonna do this full time, right? I'm gonna give it my all to try to cover as much as possible. No way I'm gonna be able to compete with the mainstream media. It's not happening. So even me trying good faith effort to cover as much as reality, I cannot compete. What I can do is really be a good sort of addition. If you're watching mainstream media and you're also watching me, if I was doing news media as a business, right, I can get you really, really informed. Whatever gaps that they're covering or not covering, I can fill, right? But I'm not going to tell you don't watch them. I'm going to have you watch them, but watch them from a more educated standpoint, so you know how to filter through the garbage, so you can get value from them, get good information from them, reject the garbage, and then you can augment that with more value from my content. And in fact, because I'm not perfect, You can reject some errors that I make, right? Having media literacy to the point where even me doing a good faith effort, just being human, I might make mistakes. Something I thought I understood, but I don't understand. But because of media literacy, you're able to suss out that, hey, Debate Me channel, I love his channel. He usually has good takes. But on this particular issue, you know, based on the argument he's making, it's not solid. His sources are problematic or whatever it is, right? But that's the way, that's what I would push people towards. Not to abandon mainstream media and praise up independent media as better, but to embrace both selectively people in independent media. You want to avoid the really, really partisan people, like I have to say, unfortunately, Sabby Sabs would represent. Yes, people get caught up in issues that matter to you, right? If you care about Israel, you're probably going to like a lot of her coverage, right? But while you're distracted by that, you're not going to see the harm in the other stuff that she does and how she covers it with her bias and her echo chamber, the sloppiness of her work, not unlike sometimes, you know, mainstream media does. But I already did a video talking about this, where I talked about mainstream media. These guys are professionals. They went to the top schools. They know the proper way to tell a story and to do it in the right way, to vet your sources, but they are profit driven. So they cut corners. They do things that maximize profit. And then after a while, you get in the habit of breaking the rules. So it's not that they don't know how to do it. They know it. They have the training. So when they do good journalism, they do it really well because they have that know-how, right? But independent media likes to focus on when they don't do good journalism, right? And make it painted as like that's all they do. Everything they do is garbage. It's all garbage. And of course, if you're just preoccupied with just Israel, that's your thing, you're not really caring about a lot of other issues, then all you're gonna see from mainstream media is garbage, right? Because you look at mainstream media, oh, there's pro-Israel stuff, and then you watch your independent guys and they're telling you, oh, look, this is the actual body count, this is genocide, whatever. And to you, you're gonna look at mainstream media as just completely useless. You know, there's no value to be held there. But the world is much bigger than the few issues that may be of interest to you or a focus to you. Not trying to devalue how important those things are. You're really interested in the Israel stuff. I'm not trying to put that down. That's important. People are being slaughtered. That's a big deal. It is okay, and it's good that you are concerned about what's happening to other human beings across the globe. But that doesn't change the fact that there's a lot more things going on in the world. Very serious things. Things that can result in much more suffering than you see in Israel, right? In fact, some of those other things that you may not be speaking about are the things that have led to America supporting Israel in the way that they do. So in a very interesting way, some of the things that you may not be paying attention to are things that lead to the way that we see Congress bowing to Israel, right? So if you're really bothered about what's happening in Israel, it is important that you focus not just on what's happening there, but focus on some of the other things that got us to this, position in the first place, to have the American people say, no, this is wrong, blah, 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 and have our Congress give us the middle finger, right? And these are the dangers of these independent media partisans, propagandists. That's what she is, right? That's what an overwhelming majority of media in this country is, whether it's mainstream, liberal, mainstream, conservative, whether it's independent left, independent right. A majority of our media is propaganda, right? They are essentially there to promote an ideology and demote another ideology. That is what they're doing. Ben Shapiro is not a conservative media influencer. He is an anti-liberal influencer, which ironically, so is Sabby Sabs. They're both literally in the same business, right? Now, some people, oh, how could you compare? Like, she's not a right winger or whatever. Listen, man. You look at one movie studio that does action movies, right? And they do it one way, You look at another studio, like what maybe one person they do animation for their action movies, right? Another one, it's all live action, right? Completely two different approaches, right? But they're in the same business. They do action movies. The fact that one is cartoons and one is like live action, it's still the same business. Yes, the audience that Sappy Saps targets is not the same as the audience that Ben Shapiro targets, but essentially they're in the same business. Anti-liberal media, right? They are propagandists. Ben Shapiro is a propagandist, right? David Pakman is a propagandist. TYT is a propaganda media and liberal propagandist, because propaganda. So I'm going to end this live stream because I'm really pushing things. I'm in a bad zone. But one of the things in contrast with, just to give you perspective, so what makes them propagandists versus, like, am I also a propagandist? Why I'm not a propagandist is, for example, like over here, you don't hear me talking about no left is best. There's no blue hearts over here. And I'm not saying just because of those things I'm not a propagandist, but these are the types of things you see with left-wing propagandists, right? We're in the progressive camp, we're in the whatever camp. That's not what's happening over here, right? I'm not promoting American progressivism. In fact, I reject American politics overall, right? I would support progressivism. I would support democratic socialism, right? But not the American brand. In America, I believe that our politics are toxic. We have been taken over by the influencer class, right? It's all about people chasing views, trying to run a YouTube channel, trying to make money. It's all capitalism. That's what's happening here in terms of our politics, right? Look at Black Lives Matter. That could have been a movement, that could have been about something, but it got captured by the influencer class, right? We have totally, like, we are United States of Hollywood. We're the United States of Hollywood, right? Celebrity, right? Stars, influencers, right? This is the cancer that has ruined our politics. Any potential movement is at severe danger in this country of being overtaken by the influencer class. Somebody who wants attention, somebody who's looking for fame, somebody who's looking to make money will, at some point in time, they will push their head up. They will overshadow the real movement leaders who are really serious about change, right? Because how can you compete when someone is trying to run some kind of an entertainer influencer business, right? So they're gonna give you all the sizzle, right? All the buzzwords and yeah, the police and genocide, whatever it is, right? They're gonna give you all the sexy stuff, right? Capture all the attention and get all, the folks on the left in a movement going nowhere, being run by a capitalist who's trying to make money, who's not about revolution, not about making things better. They're about their own bank accounts, and that's the problem in this country. How does a real leader compete in a world where everyone's competing for attention, everyone's trying to be an influencer? We have politicians that are basically influencers at this point, right? But again, back to the point that I was making. I do not promote any left-wing or right-wing ideology in America. I think American politics are fake. I think they're toxic, right? I would want a revolution of politics in this country. I'm a political dissident. I do not support American conservative movement. I don't support any of the movements that these propagandists are promoting. They promote ideas that at the heart I agree with, and I think they're important, but the approach is unserious. The approach is being promoted by capitalists that are more interested, right? So they distract the American people with movements that are hollow and empty. People try to president, I'm left and I'm not right, but then if you're on the center in this country, the right-wing machine will suck you in. They are so powerful. This is the reason why you hear many people say all the centrists, they're basically a closet MAGA. MAGA is like a black hole. They are like a black hole. You go anywhere near the center and they will get you. So even somebody who has good faith and they're in the center, right? I'm not saying everybody, obviously, but many of them at some point will start to get sucked in by the right to some degree, right? Obviously, there's grifters as well, but you don't have to be a grifter. The techniques being used by the propagandists on the right, who absolutely demolish. The left-wing propagandists are a joke in comparison. It's a joke. The stuff that I see the right wing doing, I mean, look at DEI. They even got me. Do you realize when I say Trump has a DEI cabinet, that is me falling for right-wing tricks, right? They capture words, like they capture DEI. They have reframed it as somebody who's not qualified. That's nonsense, but that's their trick. And then when I say Trump's cabinet is DEI, even though it's kind of like mocking, so technically you could say I'm not really, but no, by me using it in that context, where it's very clear that I'm pointing out that his staff are not qualified, then I'm adding fuel to the fire that is burning, and that fire that's burning is DEI people are not qualified. I am also making the right-wing message stronger when I do that. You see, I'm human, right? I'm human, and even knowing the tricks, that is how powerful and clever these right-wing propagandists are. A lot of stuff that I see them doing, it actually crosses over to a lot of liberals. I even see sometimes progressives saying stuff, and I'm like, that's not true. That is the right-wing framing, right? All right, I'm gonna end this live stream. Danny says, stop coughing on camera. Still respect Bernie Sanders. Yeah, Bernie Sanders is decent, and I'm going to do an interesting video about Bernie Sanders coming up. Despite being too soft, correct, we would agree on that one. He addressed important issues. I would say Bernie Sanders represents a potential exception to the rule. I don't see him as part of this influencer class. I think he's really serious about the stuff that he says. His personality is just, his personality is not appropriate for the moment. We are in a moment where we're at war. We need warriors. Bernie Sanders is not a warrior. I would like a real warrior to be the leader, and I would love if Bernie Sanders was someone advising that person, right? Not saying that they doing whatever Bernie Sanders says, but I'm saying the decisions that the warrior is making are being partially informed by Bernie Sanders. So sometimes Bernie Sanders might get overridden, right? But a lot of the value of Bernie Sanders' perspectives this person would benefit from it. But he is not the one to be the leader. Not for now. Maybe 30 years ago. Unfortunately, things have gotten too bad that this is a new perspective that I came up with. I don't know if I made videos about it. In this moment in America, we need exceptionalism. That's probably not the right word to use. We need exceptional leaders, whether they're politicians or private citizens, right? So if you see a politician and they're pretty good, unacceptable. You see a politician and they're great, unacceptable. We need exceptional politicians because things are that bad. We need people that are warriors who are going to go to fight. They're going to be so aggressive in whatever their approach is. They're not taking no, right? And very, very skilled, very, very strategic, very, very knowledgeable, impeccable integrity. We need exceptional politicians, right? Someone like Bernie Sanders is not exceptional. Not in this moment. Maybe in the past, not today. What should the approach be? Unfortunately, I'm driving. Not as nice of a vehicle as this guy with his R8. He's got the R8. I see you. Got that V10. I'm not sure what you're referring to. I didn't see your comment when I was talking. But I'm just gonna make an assumption here. We need revolutionaries, not as a branding exercise, a YouTube channel name. We need legit revolutionaries, right? But we need people that are so like integrity and discipline like you've never seen before. Do not care, respect social media, and they definitely need to dominate in social media, but they don't care about social media. Social media is a tool to get their message out. Someone that is such a strength of character that they don't care about the likes and how many people are following them. This stuff does not faze them. They understand this stuff. They know how to utilize it, but they have the self-esteem and integrity why that kind of celebrity actually, I would say they probably makes them feel uncomfortable. The kind of leader we need. The kind of leader we need would be slightly bothered by too much of the celebrity. Like, for example, this kind of person, the right kind of person that we need is a person who might feel funny with people wearing shirts with their name on it. Right? They understand the importance, the branding. You gotta get your name out there. But personally, because of their character, they don't want people to be like worshiping them or like they are somehow above others. They are one of the people. They want to feel like part of the community. I am just like you. I'm not somebody above you. I don't want people with my name on everything. Like, that's the kind of person that we need. Again, they would recognize the value of that. I'm not saying they wouldn't do it. They would. I think it's probably advisable to have people promoting your name, right? If you're running for office. But I'm saying their character, they would not be interested in that kind of stuff, right? The people that we don't need are people who get too caught up in ego, right? All about self. And I post something online and I get this feeling of validation when I get all the likes and the comments and whatever ratio, right? Those kind of people are the kind of people that will get caught up. They will get caught up and distracted in themselves. I'm becoming a big celebrity now and I have all this following and I go and I speak and people are like screaming out whatever, right? We need people that have sort of this level of invincibility to that stuff. They don't care about that. What they care about is getting things done, right? They care about improving the lives of Americans, right? They care about results. They don't care about the fanfare and celebration. In fact, if they could do the work that they want to do successfully without anybody even knowing their name, they would do it, right? That is a rare type of person. And I can't say that I have a name that I can think of that's somebody who meets that profile. But that kind of person is a person who will stay the course, who will not be influenced by corporations and capitalists and whatever. They will be solid in their core. They will stand their ground. They won't get caught up in the inside game and careerism and having one tribe and you're another tribe. They will fight for America. They will fight for all of America, whether you're conservative, whether you're liberal, whether you're progressive. They don't care about your ideology. They don't care where you live, whether you're in a big city or you're somewhere in a rural part of this country. They will fight for America until their dying breath, right? And they don't